Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the GM. It is your guy, Boulanger. And up next, want to toss out to you guys the question: is DeAndre Hopkins' value dropping? Do me a quick favor, hit like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you get updates when we upload new content. Let's go. So I pose this question because DeAndre Hopkins has been out on the street on the free agent market for roughly 10 to 12 days, give or take. Okay. He is certainly the best player available. He is certainly the type of player that can push a team over the top if healthy. And he is certainly the type of player that a defense has to acknowledge when he's on the field. And we know that there are certain teams uh, who need a wide receiver. And Hopkins is still on the market, and it doesn't sound like he's really been close to signing with any team in particular. So the question is why? Is there some underlying news that the NFL fan is not privy to about DeAndre Hopkins? Are teams scared off from his recent injury history over the last couple of years? Or is his value dropping? I think it's the third option. I think his value's dropping. Now, let me be clear. When I say his value's dropping, it's not because he's less of a player today than he was 10 to 12 days ago. He's not less of a player today when the season ended. I think his value's dropping because of the window of time he was released in. You see, when free agency starts March 7th, there's a tampering period where all the big money starts to come out. And so that big contracts are paid out basically that first 5 to 7 days of free agency. Then things kind of die down. Then the second wave jumps off and guys get more money. You know, not as significant money, but they get pretty good deals. And then you enter into that period of off season where everybody turns their attention towards the draft. People start setting their draft board, so on and so forth. And DeAndre Hopkins was not released at that point. You know, he wasn't traded on draft night. Draft night ends, right? The draft, all 3 days are over. He's still a part of the Arizona Cardinals. I predicted that he would be cut after June 1st, but he was cut right before June 1st. So now he's been on the streets for about 10 days. Like I said, I don't remember the exact date he was released. And so the question is, why is he still available? And I think that his value's dropping simply because of being released in that third window of free agency. This is that period where guys sign 1 year deals. Maybe they catch a 2 year deal if they're lucky enough. And it's typically for low money. You know, millions of dollars is never low money, but in the context of NFL contracts, sometimes it could be considered low money. And the report is that DeAndre Hopkins wants an Odell Beckham type contract, which is 1 year, $18 million, $15 million guaranteed. Okay. Now here's a real question. Is he worth that? Of course he is. Of course he's worth around $18 million for a number one type wide receiver. And there's only about 10 teams who have $15 million available. And the Baltimore Ravens have about 11 million, so they could actually work a deal. But the question is, if he's available, 10 teams have money. Some of those teams that have money do need a wide receiver. Why is Hopkins still available? And I think it's just now need versus supply. You see, I can need a wide receiver, but on my team, I already have a supply of wide receivers. I already have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 wide receivers on my roster who do not cost me $18 million, which is what DeAndre Hopkins is reportedly wanting, right? And so why would a team go and sign Hopkins at this point when they have to find out what they have? A lot of teams added wide receivers in the first phase of free agency. Some wide receivers got picked up in the second phase. A lot of wide receivers got drafted. right? And I don't think a non-contending team is going to sign an $18 million veteran. So it's only going to be contending teams. Well, contending teams, and we'll talk about that in another video, who's a real contender, and contending teams will not have that kind of money. In fact, of all the contending teams, the Baltimore Ravens have the most money at 11 million. And it was reported that they only offered him 2 million. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but that's a report that is out there. And so again, he's not less valuable. He's just in a place where he's a free agent where he is more of a luxury than a need. See, Kansas City needs a number one wide receiver type, but they won it without one last year. So for them, he's not worth 18 million. See, Buffalo could use him, but they were in contention, at least in the playoffs, without him. Let me see. Baltimore could certainly use him, but they made the playoffs and they added pieces already. They didn't include Hopkins. Cincinnati already has an elite core of wide receivers. I'm just naming contending teams. And so what does DeAndre Hopkins do? Does he lower his price and sign with a contender? Does he stand pat and hold to that $18 million? I think he'll have to come off that price. And again, not because he's less value, less of a player, but I think his value is going to be significantly less because of the era of time that he's in. He's in that time. It's June 6th today, and there's not a lot of movement going to be happening. There's no trades that's going to be happening. And teams are pretty much set and ready to go into training camp in about 45 days. And so will there be an injury coming in training camp if DeAndre Hopkins isn't signed and, a team pick him up? Certainly, that certainly could happen. But I think as of right now, he may sit on the shelf and wait. Okay. And so you guys let me know what you guys think. Why do you think he's not signed? Is he asking for too much? Is it simply the time frame that he was released in and now he's more of a luxury than a need? Or do you think there's something else? Do you think there's some news about him that causes teams to stay away? I don't know which it is. I just think that it's the time frame that he was released in. Teams are pretty much set. Teams got anywhere from 75 to 90 players already. And the cap space isn't available. And so I don't think a team is going to be willing to rework other contracts to make room for him. Again, could there be a situation that happens where a team snatches him? Certainly. But I think at this point in time, his value is declining. And the longer he sits out on the open market, the more he's going to have to be willing to come off that number. Let me know what you guys want me to know. I'm your guy, Boulanger. This is the GM, and we're out.